But God has been faithful to me. He promised He would never leave. My story proves that God can use me. Deliverance is my testimony. You don't know
my story.
It would blow your mind.
That's the key. They don't know.
My story.
Say it, LaJune.
You don't know my story. The anguish and the guilt that consumed me. Grateful I can tell it. For no more shall the shackles condemn me. You don't know my story.
You just don't know.
For if you did, you would lift up your hands. So just let me tell you, by faith you may as well break out and dance.
I love this about God because even though I'm not perfect,
He would never leave. My story proves that God can leave.
and my deliverance. What I want to share is my testimony.
You don't know.
Somebody needs to know my story.
It would blow your mind.
Can I get a witness?
You don't know
My story.
my story. My story.
It is through my testimony that I overcome.
And the blood you shed delivered
I've been delivered. I've been set free. And now I have a testimony. God's favor. Love. Oh, that's right. Say it, LaJune. God, you never leave me. Don't forsake me.
You don't know. You don't know.
Listen, I want you to know that. Life and favor. Thank you for bringing me out. You think you know, but let me tell it. Life and favor.
Upon me.
God, thank you for your mercy.
God of mercy.
And you love me. Life and favor.
Life and favor upon me.
Oh, how wondrous. God, it's my story. Life and favor
upon me.
You wouldn't believe my real testimony. Can't imagine. Some people, they walked out on me and they gave up on me, said I wouldn't make it, but God brought me out.
All the things I've done.
If you only knew, you'd understand why I praise like this. Come on, can we take it up? I'm delivered.
Here is my story.
Yes.
That's the favor of God upon me.
You don't know.
What's up, peoples? Glad some of y'all liked our new intro. D, Chubbs, Elder Otis, good to see y'all. This is Better for the Day. I'm Al. It's Carmen. Carmen, yeah, that's Carmen. Let me shift the camera a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. I hope you guys had a great day. Gotta make sure I stay up with my comments.
Hope you had a great week.
What's up, La? Yeah, we worked. I worked. Well, she with one, so we worked hard on the intro.
You worked hard on the intro.
I did. Real talk. I really did. So we were talking about communication for the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks. And this past weekend, we went to a marriage retreat, marriage event that was off the chain.
Yeah.
For those of you who are married, I think you should invest in at least one of these a year. It was at, excuse me, I had the flyer somewhere on here. I don't know where it's at now. Here it goes. It was at the Hyatt Regency on the Chesapeake Bay. Dr. Dave and Pastor Bernadette Mills, who are to me the marriage gurus, were the facilitators.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was, hey, Rima, it was off the chain. It was off the chain. If you don't know what's missing in your marriage, it's good to go to one of those retreats because you will get located. Whatever it is that, and it might be a variety of things. We got to stop. I want to say we got to stop acting like something's really wrong that can't be fixed. You know,
things can't be fixed.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It can be fixed if you're willing to do the work. Yeah, if you're willing to do the work. So let me get this out of here.
And anything worth having is really, got to work at it.
You really need to work at it. Right. So here are a few pictures from the event. My wife was sparkling. She was wearing that dress, son. Let me tell you. All the couples were. it was about 40 couples there.
40. It was
40 couples there. So it was just. I don't know. You probably can't see that.
I don't know what that is.
That was our itinerary.
Oh, okay.
This is a beautiful picture. Bill Dixon took this picture of the resort. That is a beautiful picture right there.
Yeah.
Because it rained like crazy.
Oh. And it was cold.
That's Dr. Dave, Pastor Byrne. This was their flyer. I thought that was pretty nice. Me and Combs. That was at one of the breakout sessions. This was the Saturday night, right, Combs? That was Saturday night at the
at the game, right?
Thing,
yes,
right?
That was a great.
This
evening.
Was Saturday night as well. And this is what's up, Keish? Dr. Dave, Pastor Byrne, Destiny, and Keon. Man, those two young people right there is off the chain. Let me get to the comments. Hey, Dad, what's going on? Yeah, though it was. We had a good time. So we left Sunday prior to them having a service in their suite. And my wife didn't want to leave. But she didn't say anything to me about not wanting to leave. And her reasoning was because of how she thought that I would act, because of what happened in the past. And so it bothered me that she didn't want to say something to me about that. And so, man, I went into some really, really deep introspection. And I came up with this acronym. I got to find it. PAST. Past. The P stands for previous, past, or prior. The A stands for actions, activities, antics. The S, stagnate, stymieing today. Previous actions can stagnate today. And one of the things that came to me was your behavior cannot be defined by somebody else. They'll know the what, but they won't know the why. I know something's wrong, but what is it? And the person that, I mean, some people probably don't think that they're conveying that there's something wrong, but there's something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And the person that's doing or conveying the behavior doesn't even realize that their behavior is not giving the whole message. You know, okay, so something's wrong, but what is it?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glory to God that Dr. Dave and them came on Tuesday, and she was able to say something about it. And one thing that came to me was, and this is for all married couples, although there may be something that always happens, don't give up on trying to make a difference. Don't give up on trying to still see if your spouse will change, because when you don't try, you don't leave room to see growth.
I agree.
You won't see the growth. And it, like I said, I'll do anything for my wife. So if she would have said something, what up, Ralph? I would have said okay, and we would have went to the thing. You didn't, but you got to give it a chance. You have to give it a chance.
I looked at your posture. I heard your tone, and yes, I based it off of past behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So when you said, "I'm ready to go home,"
I was ready to go home.
So I felt it would have been selfish of me to say,
you can't do that,
because what I want also matters.
You can't do that, because that's a perfect opportunity for discussion.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
But
like,
you wasn't in the mood to
you don't
discuss,
know that,
because I asked you, so what time are we waking back up? I don't know. I'm like, so.
And you shut down.
I did, because it was like.
Why couldn't you say, hey, how about 8 o'clock? How about 9 o'clock? It's not fair to the relationship, Combs.
But I get it. I mean,
right. it really isn't. And you have to give it a chance.
Yeah, definitely.
You have to give. Something's sticking me in my neck. That tag right there. Yeah. You have to give growth a chance. Not only to see that your spouse has grown from the male to the from the female to the male perspective, but for the female to now go, I can actually say these things and not anticipate. See, what happens is we anticipate a result, and it stops us from doing stuff. And this is all based off past practice. So Friday was. So let's tell you about our day Friday. She worked and I worked, but she packed everything on Thursday. So
partially.
So we still have some packing to do. So we left a lot later than we thought. What Rima say? Rima says, but is it fair that you may come off unapproachable to your spouse that makes her react differently? But is it fair that you may come off unapproachable to your spouse? No, it's not fair.
But what I have to do is I have to look past.
You have to look past that.
Meaning you may be exhibiting the behavior, but my response to that behavior, if it's different, meaning if I said, well, you know, babe, I really wanted to go. If I had said that to you, opposed to going, why we ain't going?
Right.
You know, if I had said, Al, I really wanted to stay, then your reaction would have been,
okay.
I mean, I mean, I have to.
Hey, Sean.
It's an old behavior
and
of just shut it down.
And to get to Rima's point, is it fair that you come off unapproachable? No, it's not fair.
Right.
But don't let the current posture remind you of a past event.
And sometimes that's hard. And I'm being honest.
Says, it could have been communicated before you came to the event that you was going to stay to the end. We had planned on it.
We had all intentions.
we had planned on it.
Jeez.
But I just woke up like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. But anyway, so we left kind of late and we got there running. I mean, we got in the room, we changed our clothes.
38 minutes.
We was downstairs. We missed the beginning.
Very beginning, yes.
I think they gave out some gifts for people who had bought the most couples,
right,
and stuff like that. But We sat. What happened when we was there?
We ate. Food
No. Prior to us eating,
I'm always gonna talk about the food.
They gave out something for the couple who had traveled the furthest.
Yes,
and we actually won that.
Hey, we got a cheesecake factory.
Yeah, we won a gift certificate to the cheesecake.
Right.
Then we ate.
Right.
The food was off the chain.
The food was really good.
The food was really, really good. And then Pastor Burns said that whimsically she decided to do the serenade thing.
Yeah,
it wasn't even on her menu or on her
itinerary of what to do with us. Right.
So there's a long testimony about that. I don't think we got enough time.
What?
About Teresa and Paul, about him not singing at her wedding.
Oh.
So we're gonna tell it anyway. Sean says, Alfred, you did a damn good job performance to Carmen. Didn't know you could sing that great. So I'm glad you said that, Sean, because I got a clip of that night.
Come on, bro.
That was from Friday night.
Right.
A lot of people don't know. I used to sing that song to Carmen when we was teens.
Yeah.
We was teens. So La said, it is hard to see current postures and not consider what it means based. That is correct, La. Poochie says, but your song was nice and you sounded nice. Thanks, Poochie. Mm-hmm. So I said, you go, boy. So then after that, we had a few other events. I think they had the Soul Train line, which we was exhausted. We was
Listen, the left knee wasn't working. Right? It just wasn't moving.
And then after that, they had the musical chairs.
Oh, they do musical chairs, men against the women, and let's just say there was a casualty.
You had to be there. You had to be there. And then they had the vow renewal, which is something they do every event.
Every event
they had the vow renewal, which was very, very nice. So we go on to Saturday, and they had breakout sessions.
Yeah.
And this is where my notes come into play, because Saturday was off the chain.
Saturday was really good.
It was off. The O said the men won. We put that up there. The men won.
The men won.
They said, hey, Mills. They said that the women were so comfortable that they didn't even bring the trophy. So we broke out into sessions on Saturday.
Right.
And First Lady, you look beautiful as all. You look beautiful. You always do, though. Yeah, she really looked. But everybody looked pretty. Everybody was shining.
I mean, yeah. They were Board of Health clean.
Yeah,
they
everybody was
good.
Shining. So now we're in the groups on Saturday. What was your highlight of the group on Saturday?
I think that everybody could glean off of each other.
Right.
The questions that were posed to us, and then their stories.
Okay. And
we were able to empower each other.
That's correct.
Yeah, we were able to empower each other. It was really good.
It's a comment. Millie says, I love your hair.
Thank you.
So here's a few of the notes that I wrote down. The only thing that gets in the way of we is me.
Mm.
Then I had, hey, Renee Gaynor. And then I had a few things that in our marriage that could be missing.
Mm.
And this was due to a lack of agreement. That was forgiveness. I'm going to put this here so you can see this. Can they see it?
No.
A little bit. Forgiveness,
mm-hmm.
repentance, humbleness keeps us out of oneness. Anger holds up the presence of God. Covenant is costly. So Dr. Dave gave this example. It's in my way. Of he actually said, did I write that down? I don't know. So much notes here. But he talked about when you go to the altar. And he talked about what the altar was used for back in Old Testament times. It was a place where sacrifices took place.
Sacrifice, right.
And he said how the man, you're standing there waiting for the I'll get to that second round, waiting for your wife to come down the aisle. And you don't even understand. You're standing there waiting to be sacrificed.
Oh. So you were saying the man is the only one sacrificed?
The woman is a sacrifice as well.
Right. They're both.
It's a dual thing.
Right.
So Rel asks, what was the average amount of years of the married couple? It varied, Rel. It went from 3 years up to 46.
Right. There wasn't a younger group?
I think the youngest married couple was the two that were sitting at our table, which was Teresa and Paul.
Oh, okay, right.
They were 3 years.
Right.
The last one we went to was like 6 months.
Yeah.
And the lady was how old?
Oh, no. They were even less than that, wasn't it? She was 74.
And he was 71? Something like that?
Something like that.
And they had been married, was it 3 months?
I think like 6 weeks.
Something like that.
Yes. Yeah.
So the length of time varied.
Yeah. And the ages of the couples were from what, mid-20s till they were there building the ark with Noah.
I didn't say that, she did.
I'm just saying there were older
couples there, yeah.
And then younger couples, yeah.
It was older couples there. And he gave us this kind of like a mantra. He said, agreement plus alignment plus commitment plus covenant plus allegiance. This is the assignment.
Right.
Right. And he broke it down. He broke everything down. The thing that I got most out of Saturday was most couples are battling with communication. And it's basically, this is my take on it. It's our environment and how we were raised.
I was going to say, listening to the couples, the one couple said how she watched her father be dominant,
and she vowed that
over her mother. Her mother didn't have a voice, so she had vowed she was never going to be that woman. You know, yeah, she wanted to be married, wanted a husband, but yet she wasn't going to let that happen to her. Other women were already established, right?
One was, right. I remember that story.
She was established. She had her own home, her own car. And the view that men had was like that was what they were supposed to bring to the table, opposed to appreciating what was there.
Right.
And that she was equipped to handle herself and him. Not to say that it was going to take away from what he was going to bring to the table, but it would enhance.
What's up, Tasha?
You know, what he was coming into this covenant.
That's correct.
So, yeah, it was a gamut of things, but environment played a major role.
So I was watching something today because we've been off. We had 2 snow days. And it was very interesting.
I've been working.
Well, you work from home, so you didn't get no time off, but I chilled. And see, what up, son? And so they asked this gentleman, would you ever get married? And he said he would never put his life in somebody else's hands. But he said something that was really key. He said, marriage is a risk. And I said in my mind, what isn't? What isn't a risk?
True.
But why not take a risk that could potentially be beneficial?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And that's what a lot of us have to go into the marriage understanding. It's a risk. Your spouse can get up tomorrow and don't want to do it no more.
Right.
You got to be cool with that. You know, you can't get. We had a friend one time. We asked. I can't remember the question we asked. What question did we ask, Danielle? And Nate was like, man, listen, I got too much invested. He's like, I got too much invested in
He
this.
said, you think I'm going to let her go?
Yes.
And do what? And I invested all this in her? Oh, no.
And so there's so many different viewpoints on what marriage is. It's extremely important that before you take that step, you both understand what that is.
Yeah.
You know, because you get into a marriage and, you know, trying to figure out what it is then, which is what a lot of us do, ends up not too good. Lionel said, so many women were raised seeing dad dominate mom and vowed to become stronger than mom and never be belittled, devalued by men. That was that young lady's situation.
Yeah.
Tyler says, a lot of men have a hard time dealing with a woman who is a hustler and can have more. As your mom said, Tyler, I think it's because of what they think that they're supposed to be in the marriage.
Right. Where they can be a provider, bring all that they have to the table, and then you're living in overflow. You understand? We have to learn to applaud each other's attributes.
I don't mind you taking care
Yeah,
of me.
you want me to take care of you.
Nah, that's not what I want you to do.
Yeah, okay.
That's not what I want you to do, but I don't have a problem with it. We're talking about money, right?
See, there you go.
Oh, okay. As long as we talking about the same thing.
Danielle's holding the sign up right now.
What up, Baya? And so, as we were talking earlier about the situation that happened with us, Dr. Dave said something that was really powerful. Because Kwan was like, she wanted to keep the peace. And he said, he called it false peace.
Yeah. Yeah.
He said, you will sacrifice yourself for false peace. You know, thinking that you're keeping the peace, but on the inside, you're bored.
I'm frustrated.
You're frustrated.
Yeah, I'm frustrated.
And that's not fair to you. That's not fair to you at all. So it's very important that we communicate, how can I say this? And not bottle up, not keep stuff bottled up on the inside of us. Tyler says, Daniel says she holding the sign up. But a lot of times the independent woman doesn't really a financial provider, but an emotional and spiritual provider. Well, Tyler, the guy has to understand that that's what you bring to the table.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Some men can't. It's just too much for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just too much for them. I said, wow, false peace. Tyler says, but a lot of times independent women don't want financial support, but we may need mental, emotional, and spiritual support. That needs to be vocalized.
That's where the effective communication comes into play. You got to let people know, whoa, stop. Right now, that's not where I need you.
Rima says, I was married twice and didn't have anyone sit me down and tell me what a marriage entailed. The example I had in my life was an abusive marriage, which they cheated on each other till the one died. Our young adults go through this a lot and not know how to actively be a wife or husband. Here's my take, Rima. And a lot of people may disagree with this. But if your life is not in alignment with the Almighty God, it's going to be very hard to find a good model of what a marriage looks like. Now, there's some, like everything else, and I'm going to use this not an analogy, but an example. One pastor does something, and multiple pastors get a bad rap.
Right.
It's the same thing about marriages. The bad thing about Rima was her example was kind of bad. So she didn't have nobody sit her down. Right. Tasha, that's just my take. But it's very important, like me and my wife. We've been married a long time. But
why do you have to say it like that?
We make sure we go to retreats. We make sure it's like taking your car in for oil change.
Right. There's no problem. The problem is we need, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like fuel for my car. You understand? I need oil for my car to keep the engine running properly. Sometime I got to put some fuel injection fluid to keep the cylinders running properly. So I go to get intel. I go to hear things, hear other women. And it's not a pissing contest with the stories. It's people telling their, being transparent and explaining what they went through, how they overcame it. You understand? They're not stuck in that same spot. That's where your the older couple, meaning the people who've been married for a little longer, like they've been through that already, so they could give you some information. This is what I did. Now, do I follow them to the letter? No. But I take that information so that I can apply it to myself and make it work how we operate.
That's right. See, it's like getting a tune-up on your marriage.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
You don't want to wait for the marriage to break down.
Yeah. Why am I gonna wait for the wheels to fall off to go? Oh,
yeah.
I need tires.
Yeah. You don't want the marriage to break down, so you want to do everything in your power to make sure it doesn't break down. And one of the biggest myths on this planet is there's no healthy black marriages. It's a myth.
Yeah, that's a myth.
It's a myth, man. There was 40 loving couples in there, man. Some people had some things that they needed to iron out. Mm-hmm. Some people had the advice that these couples may need. And then there were some things you can learn from every couple. You can learn something from every. Why can't I give stars? I don't know, Tasha. I don't know. You should be able to. At the bottom of the thing, it says send stars.
Yeah.
But
it does. I don't know.
Poochie says, I love it. You got to do the work, and the real marriage is work. After the honeymoon, here comes the trials. Tyler says,
you may have to activate it on your account.
Oh, she's talking to Tasha. Does that bother you?
Oh, I thought you needed the light on.
I'm like, why?
I was just trying to keep it on for you.
Yeah, but you got to take steps to almost like preventive maintenance.
That's what it's called
on your marriage, because you got two people from totally different backgrounds trying to make this thing work, and there's going to be conflict. There's going to be conflict, and so going into Sunday, we were still on Saturday.
Right.
So on Saturday, there's a couple. They need my Apple ID. I don't know why they going through all that.
Sounds legitimate.
And we found out something. This was new for me and Combs. A book.
Oh yeah. That we're gonna get.
And here's the book. The 5 Languages of Apology. Never heard of this before. And I started to read some of the, I don't know what you call it, the reviews and so whatever like that. Mm-hmm. But this is a very interesting book, as each of us, I'm talking about my wife and myself, have different apology languages. And here's next one. No, sir. Where is it at? I got so many notes here. It said, hold on, I'm gonna find it. How do you find out what your apology language is?
How do you?
I'm glad you asked.
Say you.
Tyler says what? Because she has to pay through her phone, and if she hasn't fully logged in her Apple, it will request it. That's our IT person right there, Tasha.
Yes.
And so it says, where am I at? How to find your apology language. Ask yourself, what do you most want to hear when people apologize?
What do I want to hear?
What do you, I'm not asking you this question per se.
What would someone want to hear?
What do you most want to hear when people apologize? Then, when people apologize to you, what do you expect them to say or do? And it said those 2 questions will help you reveal your apology language. 9 times out of 10, and this goes, I think I'm going left or whatever. Sometimes we want somebody to do with us what it would be if we did it for them.
Yes.
And we don't never convey that to the people because we think you're supposed to know.
Right. I would think, yeah, that's the way the way I give love. I show love. I'm anticipating it to be reciprocated.
Here's the issue with that, as the book says, it's somewhere here. You can miss the other person's apology language by thinking that they should apologize the way you need them
because it doesn't look the way I'm anticipating
that's right.
it.
You could miss. And until they learn your apology language, you have to learn to accept what their language is. This is what Tasha? I agree, Tasha. Accountability goes a long way, but we need to be prepared to not get what we would give. You can get what you give, Chubbs, but you just gotta convey it.
Right. And you're gonna get, it's always not gonna be packaged.
It's not gonna come the way you want it.
It's never good. I'm not gonna say never, but 9 times out of 10, it doesn't come the way you're anticipating it. And sometimes when you get it the way you anticipate it, I don't think it's genuine.
It's not.
I think that it's more.
I'm doing it because that's what you want.
The motions.
Yeah, I'm doing it because that's what you want.
I'm just going through the motions. This is what she says she wanted, and there's no realness to it.
How can it be realness in it
if it's just not part of you?
When it's just, I wouldn't do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that, but because she wants it. But here's the thing about that: the more you practice it, the more you like doing it because it's for your wife.
Yeah.
Okay, we read Tyler's. All right. So we talked about how to identify your apology language. This is good. It says you should spend time reflecting on the time you've been hurt and caused hurt, and then you can say, look at what you look for or feel better or what you were willing to do for the other in those times. Let me read that again. That was Pootie Tang. Look at what you looked for to feel better or what you were willing to do for the others in those times. I think this is stuff that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and
I agree.
It's almost like these are times when I guess it needs to be said, hey man, I just need to talk. I just need you to hear me.
I don't need your opinion.
Nothing from that's right.
I need to get this out. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Tyler says, but the way you apologize is not the way mommy apologizes. So you have to be prepared to accept the person for where they are. I agree with you, Charles. I agree. I accept any apology from however I get it.
I'm not talking about me. I've heard you say, I'm not accepting your apology. Not for me. I've heard
it
people.
Depends. Okay, when I say I accept your apology, let me say this correctly. So on our show, on Better for the Day, our mantra is let your apology be your behavior.
I like that.
Right. Okay. When I tell people I don't accept their apology, that's the second time go around.
Got you. Because you repeated the behavior.
You just did the same thing again.
So how many times are we going to go through this?
You just did the same thing again.
Right.
The first time, I cannot say whether you were sincere or not.
Right.
The second time, I know you wasn't.
Yeah.
Because I already told you.
You showing me.
You showed me.
You showing me that you really not genuine and you just trying to fill my ears with nonsense.
Change behavior is the biggest apology.
Yes.
Change behavior.
Yes.
It speaks for itself.
Yeah.
You don't have to say anything.
Yeah.
All right. So I showed y'all the book, right? And on this website, if you go on the website to find a book, they have a bunch of other books on here. One that I know I'm going to get is called, I just went by it, The
Right.
5 Dimensions of Effective
Stupid.
Apology. Why?
He said, wait, what show is that mantra?
Stupid. Better for Sunday Night Vibes. That's by, I just have his last name, O'Reilly.
Oh, what?
This is The 5 Dimensions of Effective Apology. That's one of the books that was on that website. And then it gives 5 ways of apologizing. I have that written down. Number 1 is expressing regret. It says saying I'm sorry. Talk about your feelings. Show that you understand the impact you had on them emotionally. Frustration, disappointment, fear, and so on. Be specific. So when I say to you, I'm sorry, I should be able to tell you what I'm sorry for.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? And as me and you have put into practice many years ago, I don't think we've done it in a while. We vowed to do better.
We did.
We vowed to do better. You got to put something in place so that it's almost like an alarm that if I do this again, this is not a good thing.
Right.
All right. The other one was, so I did expressing regret. And then this one was accepting responsibility. Saying I was wrong. In a matter of speaking, submit a guilty plea. Don't try to defend your actions. If your action was inexcusable, say so. Most importantly, don't try to pass the hot potato that we call blame. That's good. I'm sorry.
Right.
What am I sorry for? Let's break it down so that you're holding each other. That's it, Poochie. Break it down so that the other person can feel like
they were heard.
I was heard.
And that you're going to make some intentions on how you hear and how you react and do.
That is correct.
Yeah.
The other ones.
So and like I said, I failed. And when I say failed, I don't mean it in a detrimental way. But yeah, I could have handled that situation differently in regards to us leaving on Sunday.
It was hard for you to do that because instantly you reflected back on how things usually play out.
Correct.
And that overrules everything.
It did.
Nothing new will get in.
Right.
So it was very good that we were able to go on the show on Tuesday hear
it. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This dude's stupid. I don't forgive you, see?
What he said?
I'm sorry for burning your leather bomber. I don't forgive you, son.
Are you serious?
I told that dude not to put that coat on.
We went back to the leather. God, you know how many years ago?
Yeah, I do. I still remember it.
Oh my God.
Okay.
What was he, a preteen?
He tried to be slick and put the jacket up on the door and close the door, but the light was on. And so that's a long story. Okay. So we was at expressing regret, accepting responsibility, making restitution.
How do you make restitution?
How can I make it right? This is asking the person that you're apologizing to. How can I make it right?
Yeah.
Now, what you got to understand is that person may not know at that particular time what that is.
Right.
They just know they're hurt.
Right.
And you got to give them time.
Yeah.
It says.
And then I'm hearing people saying about how they give their husbands time to process some things they may ask their husband.
Mm-hmm.
How long? I mean,
that was expressed.
Yeah, it's like,
you know, she said the dude used to take a week, and she was like,
"Oh, she said 2.
Nah." He's
and I'm going.
That to me, that's a sign of avoidance.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's like, so what do we? I
think that's something that might need to be discussed.
Yeah, I think I have forgotten.
Poochie says, so Alpha Myers, why didn't you say, Combs, I'm ready to go? But how do you feel? Are you ready to go?
Because that wasn't his continence. That's just that.
Why didn't you say, I'm ready to go? But how do you feel? I didn't think about it, Poochie.
Yeah. And that's not how he talks.
No.
That's not how you talk.
At
I mean, we talk to one another, but you have to understand your partner's language, how they respond to stuff. And
but let's rewind. Let's rewind. So when my feet get wet, I'm not any good.
For nobody.
I'm
nothing.
not good when my feet get wet.
Doing nothing.
So Saturday it poured, right? And we had to go and pick some stuff up for the room because when we got in on Friday, we didn't have no time. And when we went out to the store, our car was parked in Istanbul,
Egypt.
And I had to walk to the car. And I didn't have on the proper gear and I got soaked. But I didn't say nothing about it. I thought I would be fine. Oh, I got to get back to that. And so come Sunday, I was just very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I was really uncomfortable. And what you're saying is right, Poochie. So what I did was selfish. It was selfish, but I was ready to go. But had she voiced her opinion, I don't know if I would have been ready to go. Because we got up early and put our stuff in the car. So we was ready to attend service.
Right.
But
I had prepared it so it would have been a smooth transition of checking out, going to the service, and then coming home.
So I was at fault just as much as she was.
Right.
Me more because, Tyler said, how long are we to wait for this process? Because being an overthinker, I might overthink myself out of things. I think, Tyler, that's something that needs to be discussed.
Yeah.
For me, I would say 2 days max. And then after 2 days, it needs to be revisited. Hey, what we doing?
Yeah.
What we doing?
Yeah, because I think after more than a day, I forgot half of what we said.
Yeah. It needs to be discussed.
I'm just saying. So I'm in the moment.
You
type
ain't never
of
say
thing.
sorry for stealing my $100 for my class trip. I ain't steal it. You gave it to me. You gave it to me, son.
Oh God!
I ain't gonna talk about the amount of times y'all went in my dresser drawer and thought y'all was stealing and didn't even know I put the money there for y'all. But because y'all thought y'all was stealing, I had to make y'all feel like y'all was doing something sneaky. Maisha says, Poochie says, yeah, I understand Frisk is correct about just learning your man's language.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, my feet had got wet and I was just,
we know Al's feet get wet.
That's a wrap, man.
We ain't doing nothing. We ain't going nowhere.
It's a wrap.
So at all means, I'm always trying to make sure his feet are dry.
And we rushed, so I didn't I wasn't prepared. I didn't
rush.
When I came home to finish packing, I forgot my coat. That's how much in a rush I was.
Yeah, we
was just trying to get in the car, and I didn't have no boots.
I was excited. Because
I very much appreciate it.
It was a beautiful weekend. When I tell you, even though we left early Sunday, I left full. I left full of gratitude for the relationship that I do have with Al. I left full of information, how to communicate with him effectively. And then I left full with, I was able to communicate how I set the tone in the household for you.
So Saturday,
I'm not a person who's going to talk out in front of people.
I'm gonna cut her off, but she was finished. So Saturday had a panel, and the panel consisted of 5 guys who Dr. Dave picked randomly out the audience, and off subject, but y'all got some good-looking Asian folks. And the magnificent thing for me was that the women that they picked were our spouses. And she was asked, I can't remember the question Pastor Byrne asked you, but I'll let you talk from here.
No.
She was asked something in reference to the house.
How do you what do you bring to your husband? What do you bring? How do you?
I can't remember what you was asked. But you gotta go to the bathroom?
No, I was thinking. And
I tell you that thing, we're gonna get closer next week. And so she described, and I'm gonna let her go. You need to describe this. How you are the thermostat. And so Pastor Byrne asked you, what does being a thermostat entail?
Right. When I walk in a room, I set the tone. I don't say anything. I don't do anything in particular. Just I enter the room. When I enter a room, I'm not looking for anything, but I know when I come in who I am and who possesses me will enter the room in with me. Mm-hmm. So the tone is always going to be a positive vibe. It's I'm going to bring peace. You understand? Laughter.
That's right.
I'm going to always set the atmosphere so that it's conducive, that everybody's comfortable to receive, to give. Yeah, that's who I am.
And so she talked highly about that, setting the peace. And there were a few of the ladies in there that literally said that they need to work on that.
Yeah.
Setting the peace for their spouses, for their husbands when they came home. So I thought that was really good because, like she said, Calms don't speak in front of nobody. She don't speak in front of her. And she did very well. I was extremely proud of her. And one of the questions we were asked is, how do we protect our wife's emotions? And there's a gentleman on this feed now named Otis Thomas. And I thought his comment was the best because he said, knowing how his wife is, he protects her from certain things and he takes care of it. And once it's taken care of, then he goes to her and because he knows how she is. And for some people, they may think that's like hiding stuff. Right. I don't think it is. I think it's a really fine line.
It's a fine line.
It's a fine line. But when you're displaying it like Elder Otis was talking about, I think it's a jewel.
He's not being dishonest.
He's not being deceptive.
He's not
being dishonest. Right. He just knows that if he goes to her and this thing is not resolved.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
It's a yin and it's
you got to know your spouse.
You have to.
You got to know your spouse.
And the situation too. It doesn't work for every situation.
Yeah. You have to know your spouse.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't mind coming to my wife. So I was asked the question first in regards to how do I protect her emotionally. And my thing is I sit in my truck and unwind before I come in the house. And then most of the time you're working or in your office. So I don't never come in and just unload. I sit, get myself together.
Right.
And I don't have a problem discussing if there's an issue with my wife because we solve it together.
Right.
You know, we solve it together. And for each marriage is different.
Yeah.
You know, like we said earlier in regards to the apology languages, you got to know your spouse's language. You know, you have to spend time studying your mate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Poochie says, what Rel said? Rel says, I totally understand that act from the elder. Already. Oh, Tyler said something up here. She said, they talked about this at church. The wife is the thermostat, but the husband is the thermometer. I ain't no thermometer. What you talking about? I put the, what's it called? I put the mercury in the thermostat. Poochie says, but your nature as a man is to protect, and we as women have to learn to let a man lead. That is correct.
Yeah.
What you were saying, Cons? Jennifer says, and that takes time. It does take time. Yeah. It really does. But one of the things that it wasn't discussed on this weekend, but you could kind of gauge that this is what everybody to me, as they were told, you could tell that they had goals.
Yes.
You could tell that there was something that they were trying to strive towards.
Right. Yeah.
If you don't have no goals.
Yeah.
I mean.
It was really eye-opening And the more reason why I wanted to stay, it was like I wanted more. I was getting more information. And it was just such a peaceful atmosphere, and you felt safe to share, no judgment, and your husband's ears are wide open.
So that was one of the things. Pooh said she sounded like Dennis Lucas. That was one of the things that I really enjoyed, was to see, like I said earlier, one pastor doing something wrong can put a black eye on pastors.
Yeah.
Everybody, pastors this, pastors that. So there was pastors there who were having a great time.
Oh my God. They were
unwinding. And to me, I think a lot of times we forget about them.
That they're human.
That, even though that their assignment is a big assignment.
Yes.
They still are human.
They're human. They want to be goofy just like we goofy.
And they were having a great,
oh my God,
free time.
It was so good to see them be goofy, just to have fun. It was a breath of fresh air.
So I love it that Team Mills always has a breakout session that involves just pastors.
Yes.
Because just like they pour into us, they need to be poured into.
Yeah.
And we forget about them.
Yeah.
We go to them with our problems, this, that, and the third, and we forget that they have a life of their own too.
Yeah.
So it was really enjoyable for me to see that.
Yeah.
I expect it because we've been to so many of their retreats.
Right.
That they take time for the pastors.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be pastor right now.
And you got to be mature to understand this is a married couple. That is not a bishop, apostle, whoever right now. That's a married couple trying to have fun with one another, and let them have fun. Let them be cute. Let them want to woo each other. Let him be sexy for her, or vice versa, and embrace it.
The key to the entire thing was they felt safe.
They felt comfortable.
They felt safe.
I
can let my hair down.
Man,
these people is okay.
Yeah,
that's a hard thing.
It's a hard thing because they're always used to keeping an image,
and they're always under scrutiny.
Yeah.
They're always under scrutiny.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm missing some of these comments here. Jennifer says safety is key. La said that was a cup run of over moment y'all had. Rima says, I love that you said that. Safe. Hey, how you doing, Sinead? Jennifer said, which is needed. Indeed. Poochie says we have to realize not to charge the church for our imperfections. Jennifer said, yep, they are first husband and wife.
That's
yep.
Right.
Lots of love seeing fun in marriages, and the chemistry is best friendish. They say marriages work. All right. If you look at it, so this is our ology here. In our minds, work automatically equates to a job.
Okay.
It means that, okay, I have a job to go to, and I get rewarded for me working this job. This same mindset goes into our marriage. And when there's no reward, the work stops.
Wow.
Because how we are taught what work is supposed to do. Now, in a marriage, there's some responsibilities that each spouse has that does not require their behavior to be a reward for what you've done.
Right. It's just what you do.
This is what you're supposed to do.
It's just what you do. Yeah.
The result is that you handled your responsibility as a husband. I handle my responsibility.
Right.
If my wife gives me the response I'm looking for, great. But how about doing it and not going in looking for a certain response?
Right.
Because when you go in looking for that response and it's not given, you'll shut down.
Yeah.
You won't do nothing again. Shemake says the man and woman of God are humans before the title. Absolutely. Elder O says, as a kingdom-minded man, you have to be the priest protector. That is right, man. And that was good what you said. Lassie, that's a word, Alpha. Yep. Yeah. So Tim said marriage is work, and that's a great way of looking at it. Work brings a reward. One of my favorite scriptures in Romans 12, it says you got to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And a lot of us have put foundational precepts in our head from 20, 21 years old, and we've never gone in there and changed it.
Right.
And so we're functioning off these precepts, not realizing that our situation has changed, and so should our strategy. And we never go in there and change anything.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And now we get into a relationship, because when you're single, you don't got to change nothing. Real talk.
Right.
And now you're accountable to somebody that comes from a totally different world. And you never go back in there and revamp that stuff.
Right.
You never go in there and revamp that stuff. If anybody is worth it, it should be your spouse. One thing was said to me many retreats ago. Dr. Dave said, what are you saving yourself for? Like, your spouse does something wrong, and all of a sudden you go into a cocoon. Now, I ain't doing nothing. What you saving yourself for? Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
And when he said it to me, I was like, wow, we do that. I do it. I get mad, and all of a sudden, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. And don't nobody suffer but you.
Right.
Don't nobody suffer for you but you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we was at apology language number 3, I think, when I said...
I can't keep up. The font is little.
We were at making restitution. How can I make it right? Offer some type of amends to make them whole again. To ask whether that would be helpful if something else might better show them how sincere you are. Once again, at the particular time, he or she may not know what that is.
Right.
So you put that on the table, and okay, we're gonna work on that. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing like mutual assignments that we work on together. All right. The next one was a plan change, as we said before. Let your behavior be your apology.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Let's not be all words.
Correct.
And then the next one was requesting forgiveness. Can you find it in your heart to forgive me? For some people, an apology for something that is very serious or repeated problem requires this humbling question. And be patient. That's what I said. They might need time for you to begin to rebuild their trust. Why it's important to know your apology language is because it's very healthy when people can communicate with you on your terms.
Yeah. Right.
I think that's it. So, I came with the scripture. Be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing your mind. God, you always said, Al, that we spend time improving on anything but our minds, holding on to past behaviors and afraid to change and grow to the greater self. It's the reason for that to me, is it's not, we don't get challenged to change how we think.
Who would challenge you?
Your spouse.
Your spouse. Yeah.
I'm telling you, your spouse is the one that will confront you about stuff that to them is stupid. But you've been doing this so long.
Right.
You're like, okay. So Keon and Destiny came on, and they have this thing called a check-in that they do every Sunday. And I'm trying to find it. My notes are way better in order than it was before. And so these are the questions that they ask each other every Sunday. One was, do you feel seen? The next was, do you feel heard? The next was, do you feel loved? And the next one was, how can I help make our relationship better? Oh, they have another one. Do you have a prayer request? So these are the things that me and my wife are going to implement into our relationship.
Yeah.
Every week.
Yeah.
every week, so that I have access to her heart.
Yeah.
I have more access to her heart, and I can be the one praying for her before she goes out into the streets, which I do a lot. I don't know how she don't have my handprint on her head, because when she sleeps, and I'd be doing damage.
That's why my scarf comes off my head.
Yeah, you pull that off yourself. But when she sleep, and I know there's not gonna be any interference, I can go a long time praying for my wife, because I strongly believe that if anything's going to be birthed in our relationship, it's going to need her approval for it to get birthed. We as men, we can envision things and things of that, but we can't birth nothing. It's going to take our wives to do that. And so that was pretty much our week. And there's so much more. There's this one story, and I'm going to tell it. So the serenade part was voluntary.
Oh, right.
It was not people picked from the audience.
Right.
It was voluntary. And so the couple that we talked about, Teresa and Paul, they had gotten married in COVID. Now this now this gentleman can sing. I mean, he can sing.
Yeah.
And so she knew that, and she was a little bit perturbed with him because he didn't sing to her at her wedding.
Now go further back.
Go ahead. You go back
to the story. They were arguing, preparing to come to the retreat.
Yeah, before they even came, right? In the car.
To the point, they were going to come in separate cars.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, that they were, he was mad at her, she was mad at him. They weren't going to come, and he's like, I paid all this money, I'm coming.
But they had another retreat they had paid for.
Right. But then it was like they were drawn to come to this one. They decided to come to this one, right. And
now they had been to hundreds of retreats.
Right.
And
they were there at the table, slightly beefing.
They was beefing. It wasn't no slightly.
Yeah,
because he wasn't saying nothing. He was
their
like
continents,
this.
The way they were sitting was like opposite. And they got up for him to serenade her.
So they got married during COVID, and so everything was prepared. Change must start in soul, mind, because your spirit is perfect. He got prepared. Hold on, I lost my thought.
They got prepared during COVID.
They got married
during COVID.
So the whole marriage was arranged. So they walked into an arranged marriage where he just walked in like whatever they had set up.
Right.
He was going to do.
You know, during COVID, you couldn't do a whole lot. You couldn't invite a lot of people.
So they had orchestrated guests. They had a certain amount of guests. And he had no clue that she felt this way.
Correct. She never conveyed.
Now, once again, y'all got to remember, he volunteered to go up. Nobody told him to come up. He didn't know she felt this way.
Right.
And so the first couple that sang, the song was picked for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I ain't going out like that. I said, if I'm going to sing, they're going to have to give me a song I know. And so I went to the DJ and said, hey, XYZ. So after I had went and requested my song, the guy that was with the DJ came and asked each person what they would like to sing.
Right.
And so he picked Let's Take It Slow.
Yes. And it was so perfect.
It was perfect, right?
Because of them beefing, and they was like on the verge of going separate ways. And the John Legend song, Taking It Slow, it was like, let's take a beat and readjust some things and work on this.
And I mean, this dude, he sang that song.
He was John Legend in the room. He
sang that song. And as my wife said, it was like we were at the wedding.
Yeah.
Because this is what she wanted. Now, she didn't convey all this until we was in our breakout sessions. Well, actually after the panel on Saturday.
Right. And
I was like, man, many, many years ago, God gave me this thing called breadcrumbs. When you can put the pieces together, this thing was ordained by God.
It truly was. I mean,
nobody could have put that together, Combs.
No, and because nobody really knew anybody.
We didn't know. We don't know. This was their first time to the Western End.
That's right. This
was their first time there, and to look at how God orchestrated, it was mind blowing to me, man.
hence again why I wanted to stay, because
We can go back.
No,
Ain't nobody gonna be there.
ain't gonna be. No, they're not gonna be.
And to me, I think that's one of the most important things about marriage is you bring somebody else into the union.
Yeah,
It's not just you and your spouse. Holy Spirit comes in, and now you got a mediator. It's up to you whether or not you listen to him or not.
that's true.
There's always somebody there to assist you, not with your spouse, with yourself.
Yeah.
So that things can be a little bit more manageable. Because, man, when you don't have somebody that you can go to actually talk about stuff, man, and you can't talk about your man that you drink it, that nigga you drinking with, come on, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got to really, really have somebody that you can rely on.
Yeah.
That you can go to that's going to give you some real good intel.
Sound advice.
Yeah, like, yo, you screwing up, son.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm thankful for the covenant. My wife, her relationship with God prior to me even getting involved, because like I tell everybody, I'd have left me. Then I was something else, man. I was something else. But you know, for you to have seen this day many years ago, it's just amazing to me, and I'm thankful. I'm really appreciative for you for that. I am.
Okay. So am I supposed to say something else behind? Thank you. You're welcome.
No, you're not supposed to say nothing.
Okay.
I don't. That's not my language.
But no, that's not your language. But I questioned God many times, but it had nothing to do with me. I had to just bite the bullet, keep it moving, do what I had to do.
So yeah, that was our weekend. We encourage every couple that's on here, find you a retreat.
Yeah.
If the one you find is not for you, keep searching.
Yeah.
If this couple right here, hey Claudia, if this couple right here is in your town, his name is Dr. David Mills, her name is Dr. Pastor Burnett Bill. If they in your town selling pencils,
buy every one of
them. Go find out what they know about pencils that we don't know. Because I'm telling you, man, they are anointed for marriages.
Yeah.
They have.
Oh, another thing about their daughter and her husband, they don't have their parents as their marriage counselors,
right?
They have an outside entity
that right
that they have as their marriage mentees, mentors, whatever
you want to call them,
but who counsel them,
right? Yeah,
you know, opposed to their parents.
And you would think it would be them because they're so anointed for marriage, but
yeah,
as Pastor Byrne explained to us, one of the good things about it is he could feel a certain way about that.
Definitely would.
Because that's her parent.
That's right. And thinking that their response is going to be biased based on that's their daughter.
That's right.
You know, so I thought that was...
Yeah, that's amazing.
I thought that was just so good to know that these young couple had it together. Man. Yeah. They're young. They had it together.
Yeah. So you got to really question yourself and say, who am I talking to about my marriage that I really don't need to be talking to?
Yeah.
Who am I running stuff by that's giving me terrible intel?
Yeah, because they're giving you their bitter pieces.
I gotta go to the bathroom. Hold it down, Constance.
Are you really serious?
Yeah.
Well, could you pull your pants up?
I'll be right back.
He's really leaving me. Like, how we do this?
Keep talking.
I don't know what he wants me to talk about. But it was a good weekend. Well deserved on both ends. I got to sleep a little late on Sunday. But it was good. He leaves me. He know I don't like talking. I like to talk. Oh, but it was, if anybody could get to any types of group settings, because the last retreat we went to, not this one, before, there were people who were dating and wasn't even talking about marriage, but they wanted to get to know one another and see what the whole thing is about. See if it was something they really wanted to get into. And I encourage stuff like that, because we got to have sometimes those uncomfortable conversations with people before we get ourselves connected to them.
Grandma,
We don't we connect ourselves with some people based off of exterior. They look good. They appear to be healthy, all the while carrying trash inside. They don't know how to speak to your heart. They don't know how to cover you. They don't know how to treat you how you deserve to be treated. And it goes on both ways, the men and the women. So we really need to do more investigation of who we attach ourselves to. My mother said something.
your mom says, leave mother and father and cleave to your wife. Parents should not be that much into their marriage. Bias could definitely, that is correct, Beebs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the biggest things that me and my wife, and I really try hard on, is to respect her views, respect her viewpoints. It's really hard. Like, I'm from the streets, so it's really hard because my gauge system was screwed up. What I considered valid was really screwed up, and a lot of us as men need to go in and research that in regards to how we view validity, and particularly how we view women. A lot of us, it's extremely hard for us to accept good advice from our women, especially, let me say this correctly, when you're not used to hearing good stuff from a woman. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Some men are intimidated by women who are confident, and when they speak, meaning speaking on something, they're confident. Wherein, if you're using your gauge system, I don't have any street cred, but I can talk about this subject. I can bring some enlightenment to the subject, but because I don't have any street cred,
Right.
You're not really hearing what I say.
And you sound like my mother.
And I sound like your mother, because the nurturing part of me.
It's not that. It's, let me talk about me. Anything that's said to me that sounds like a command sounds like it's coming from my mom.
Wow.
And so I had to, and this is good for anybody in a relationship. You got to compartmentalize things to realize that's not who's talking to me.
Right.
That's not, I shouldn't be hearing it that way.
Right.
Because if you don't compartmentalize it, you got everything bundled up like this. And so it can get misconstrued, not what's being said, but how it's being heard.
Right.
Because now I'm hearing it from a bad place.
Yeah.
And man, I ain't trying to hear that.
Right. Right.
I ain't trying. And you miss out on some real good intel. And at the same time, you devalue your mate.
Right.
Because at some point, they may stop talking. Like, man, I'm tired. I'm not going to keep doing this every time. You know what I'm saying?
It's true. It's true.
And you really, really have to do a tremendous amount of introspection to understand how you operate.
Yeah.
That's not what we do. I can tell you how you operate, but I can't go in and tell myself, because when you go inside yourself and find out how you really operate, it's a vulnerable place to know that, man. So now where do I go with this? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not realizing your spouse may be the person. Now, what you got to understand too is your spouse, they can be damaged.
Yeah.
So when you say something to them and they respond in a way that's not how you thought, you got to understand that.
Yeah.
I'm talking to a damaged vessel.
Right.
So what I was looking for as my response, the capacity to do it wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
But because I was looking for something, I'm not going to see that.
Right.
Because, man, I can't believe she said that to me. I can't believe this. You sleepy?
No.
Yeah, I can't. And we got to really take that into consideration.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you got to know you.
Yeah.
Before you even think about trying to figure out her.
Right.
You know, and for me, I was fortunate that the ministry that we were in, they had this counseling program that came up, and it was great because it was in my infancy stages of joining the ministry. And so we was in counseling for 2 years, and it really, really helped me.
Yeah.
Not only figure out why I felt the way I did, but where it was coming from. And sometimes Pastor Burns said, "Hey fam, just hopped on, but am I talking to you know, she made me lose my thought." Yeah, so the ministry I was in, we had a counseling program that really helped me identify a lot of stuff that was going on with me. Mm-hmm. And for some of us, counseling might be the thing you need to do. Yeah. You might need to go talk to somebody. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Not only to understand you, but to better accept your spouse. Yeah. Stop trying to understand what you've been told to love. Right. We sit trying to understand. They from another planet.
And in both ways.
I'm not saying I'm excused out of that. I mean, you sitting there trying to make sense out of something that, why?
Right.
That's how she thinks. I don't.
Right.
Well, tell me where you need me at.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it all starts with you. You really, really have to go and find out, why am I operating like this?
Right.
And like I said at the beginning, I'm going to keep saying it. If you don't have a relationship with the Holy Spirit, I mean, you know, I really don't see how a lot of people do it out here, but to each his own.
That's who carried me.
I mean, we
yeah.
It did not take me long to understand who God needed to be in my life.
Right.
Like, wait a minute, I can't.
And I think that plays a major role, and everybody has to have a higher being. It's bigger than you.
It's way bigger than you, man.
It's bigger than you, and you can't handle it by yourself. So you're going to have to gain a relationship with your higher being. We choose God. That he places things in our life. He gives us strategies. He tells us that when we hurt one another, I can feel if I said something slipped out of my mouth. I was like, ooh, that was harsh. I hurt myself. Mm-hmm. I got to go back and I got to fix that. You know, I didn't mean it in that tone. Mm-hmm. This is what I meant. This is what I was trying to convey. And I go back because I care about how you hear me. So that if another time comes up and I say something, why would you listen to me? Right. Because the last time I came out my face sideways. Right.
The one of the best analogies I heard was from, his name is Apostle Banks. And he said, in a Cadillac car truck, the bolts can only be adjusted if you go into a Cadillac dealership.
Right.
You can't go into like just a regular mechanic,
Toyota,
and get it adjusted.
Right.
You are like a Cadillac.
Oh, wow.
You have to go back to the person that put the bolts in there. Mm-hmm. Who else is
right?
It's Jehovah God.
Yeah.
You got to go back.
Yeah.
So for those that's doing this on their own, God bless you, but
I
choose the other way, and it has manifested volumes in our life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And understand that this isn't my grandmother's way of living, or, you know, we tend to think that you have to, people view our Christian walk as something as would you say sacrifice? Not sacrifice. Like you're losing out on something. I've gained so much since fully accepting Christ into my life and walking this word out. It's beyond measure, and I don't miss anything.
Yeah, the benefits far outweigh anything.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, the when you can look back and see, what God has done in certain areas of your life.
Mm-hmm.
I just, that's just me.
Yeah.
That's just a side note for anybody
Mm-hmm.
who, you know, find you a church, man. You know, find you somewhere, a good church that, you know, they're preaching the word of God.
And meet your needs, you know.
They're preaching the word of God. They're not, you know what I'm saying? What's up, Elder Gerald? They're not just, you know, we looking to grow the church, you know, because there's so many different facets in your life that you need help with, that you might not even know you need help with it until you hear it.
Yeah.
You know, like on the marriage retreat that we go with the Mills, there's always something I go, man.
Yeah, I didn't even think of it like that.
I need to.
We heard the scripture a billion times, but never saw it that way. And when they tap into that, it's truly something.
I need to tighten that up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the thing with me, like sometimes I don't even tell my wife what I heard. I just start working on it. I'm being serious. Like, you know, I just go to work on it. I know I need to work on it. I don't need to go.
Same here.
Well, you know, honey, I'm working on. I don't need to be patted on my back. I know what. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, but Pastor Byrne, I haven't been in my pajamas this week. I've been a good girl.
What are you talking about?
I told them. I heard you, Pastor Dave said about how men are visual. Yeah. And then I was like, dog. And I said, he was like, yeah, he come home and you still got on the same thing you had on where he left. And I said, guilty. Guilty. But I put forth the effort.
But I ain't go nowhere this week.
But I didn't have on this. I changed my clothes, took a bath, combed my hair.
You always comb your hair.
No, I don't.
I try to compliment her.
I'm just being real.
So yeah, fam. Invest in your marriage.
Yeah.
Invest in your marriage. Invest in your marriage. If you can, go and get this book.
Yes, we're getting
The 5 Languages of Apology. It's a very, very good book. Mm-hmm. It's just like you need to know your partner's love languages. What's that? The love language?
No.
You need to know their apology language.
Mm-hmm.
It awakened me to a few things that I haven't been doing that I will start doing.
And other literature, like I was thinking of Dr. Dave's books, The Blueprint.
I have them all down in the garage.
Yeah.
I should have had them available.
Yeah.
I'll post them next week.
Yeah.
Some of his books are, he's got a book called The Ministry Called Family that's off the meter.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you got to download it on your, what's it called? Your Kindle, so you can listen to it. Let's start listening to empowering stuff.
Yeah, something that's gonna.
I mean, I love stupid stuff. Don't she look at me like that because she send me dumb stuff all day. I don't like it that much. But at some point in your day, man, you need to dedicate it to God. Mm-hmm. And then another point, dedicate it to your mind.
Yeah. We have to start putting in some things that's gonna dedicate
it to your mind, man, because
it's gonna enrich you.
We got too much crap going into our minds, man.
It's true. You
know what I'm saying? And some people think that they can look and listen to this stuff and it don't affect them. You bugging out.
Yeah.
You bugging out. So next week we'll be back on communication. Pretty much that's what this week was about, you know, reviewing the retreat. And like I said, most of the couples, you heard echo in communication.
Yeah.
Communication. And what was really pleasing was a lot of people openly talking about how they were going to work on certain things.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And I think
how the other couple, the woman said when she heard me say peace, she actually had just heard her husband said, all I want in this house is peace. And she was like, well, I'm not a rowdy person, so what is he talking about? But whatever I said, she
caught a hold of it.
Yeah, she got insight in it, what she was doing opposite of what her husband was looking for. So it was decent. It was really nice.
Yeah. Find you somebody outside of your marriage or your relationship that's gonna hold you accountable. Somebody that's gonna tell you, hey, yo, listen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Learn to accept your spouse's I think their critique.
That's big.
I think a lot of times we don't really understand. They're the ones that see us at our lowest. They see us at our highest, and we just don't give them the credibility they deserve. I mean, I'm just learning it. I'm being for real. I'm really just learning to listen to her because I've had years of not understanding what her role was, number one, and what I was going through on the inside. I had to learn how to get that stuff out.
Right.
And it's not easy getting junk out.
Right.
But you got to go in there and do it. Right. Because if you got all that junk inside of you, new stuff can't get in.
No.
New stuff can't get in. So this was a good show, I think. Once again, next week I'll have Pastor Byrne and Dr. Dave, some of their literature that they're on. I'll have their website up. They do marriage counseling, they do marriage mentoring, they do everything, man. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna tell you, there's not a lot of people that I promote.
Right.
I don't promote a lot of people.
Right.
But these two here, let me tell you, man, since we met them, I think in 2012, they have it just keeps going up.
Oh, it was before then.
Okay.
Yeah.
2011. But it just keeps going up and up. It's like God gives them new revelation every time we get around them, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Every time we get around them, man. And it's something, they're not, the way that it's delivered.
It's not religiously structured.
Well,
meaning, when I say religiously structured,
it ain't King James.
It's not, they don't talk in King
James. That's what one of the couples said.
Yeah.
They said, man, it's an honor to be around pastors who don't talk King James.
Yeah, yeah. So it's practical.
It's practical.
Just stuff that's gonna help you learn to love.
I mean, it's stuff that you can
love. Yeah.
Literally, as you finish hearing it, you can do.
Apply it to your life.
You can go, man, that's doable.
That makes sense. Yeah,
I can do that.
I
can do that, and it does so much for the covenant.
Right.
Does so much for the covenant. So we'll see y'all next week. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Al, and that's Carmen, and we are out.
Peace.
Let's put our go-to music up.
I see pictures. I don't see music.
Give me a minute. I did this backwards, didn't I?
You don't know the day he
I was at my lowest point.
You cannot imagine the strongholds and the walls that set. But God has been faithful to me. He promised he would never leave. My story proves that God can use me. Deliverance is my testimony. You don't know
My story.
It would blow your mind.
That's the key. They don't know.
My story.
June.
You don't know my story, the anguish and the guilt that consumed me. Grateful I can tell it, for no more shall the shackles condemn me. You don't know my story,
You just don't know.
for if you did, you would lift up your hands. So just let me tell you, by faith you may as well break out and dance.
I love this about God because even though I'm not perfect,
He would never leave. My story proves that God can lead.
in my
And
deliverance,
deliverance is
what I want to share is my testimony.
You don't know.
Somebody needs to know my story.
It would blow your mind.
Can I get a witness?
You don't know
My story.
my story. My story.
And it's through my testimony
Through my testimony
that I overcome.
and the blood you shed, delivered
I've been delivered. I've been set free. And now I have a testimony. God's favor.
Grace and mercy,
Love.
love and peace. All in you.
Oh, that's right. Sadly, June.
Oh, God, that will never,
God, you never leave me.
never
forsake me.
You don't know. You
My
don't
story.
know.
Listen, I want you to know that. Life and favor. Thank you for bringing me out. You think you know, but let me tell it. Life and favor.
Up on me.
God, thank you for your mercy.
God of mercy.
And you love me. Life and
Life
favor.
and favor upon me.
Oh, how wondrous.
Oh, I wonder.
God, it's my story. Life and favor.
Upon me.
You wouldn't believe my real testimony. Can't imagine. Some people, they walked out on me and they gave up on me, said I wouldn't make it, but God brought me out.
All the things I've done.
If you only knew, you'd understand why I praise like this. Come on, can we take it up?
I'm delivered.
I'm
Here
delivered.
is my story.
Yes,
Got the favor of God upon me.
You don't know.
You don't know my business. You're not out there.
Life and favor.
He brought
He's the God of mercy. Life and favor. Hallelujah. Is my story. Life and favor. If you got a story, just lift your hands and get a witness and say it. What I've gone
I'm delivered with a testimony.
You gotta have a testimony to sing this one. Look somebody in the face and say, can't imagine what I'm going through. God did it. God did it. I can't take credit for it. God did it. God did it. God did it. God did it. That's the key. I'm so grateful. It's my story. It's my story. Thank you, Jesus. Can't imagine everything I've gone through. Sadly, June.
God did it. God did it. God did it. God did it. I don't look like
Hey,
what
June,
I
how you look like when I'm coming? Yeah.
You would be here with us.